Hey guys, Video Psych here. Yeah, and just so you guys know, I'm still kind of sick from COVID, but I'll talk a bit more about that later. But just so you know, I might sound a bit different at times. But moving on from that. So, yeah, man, it's been quite a start to a year, hasn't it? So somebody on my channel asked me about what I meant by, people don't want to feel anymore. And I at least understand, some people are probably confused about me saying that. I understand sometimes I do speak in a way that is a bit different from others, or the way that somebody else might say something. But, here's me kind of spelling it out for them. Yeah, of course, asked, what do you mean people don't want to feel anymore? Like people don't want to be vulnerable anymore? Question mark. And I just said, meaning that people just want to push their feelings away with either a dopamine effect, like while playing video games and stuff like that, or, other drug. It's part of the reason why they want to make marijuana legal, actually. Don't get me wrong, I don't judge. I also think that they should make it legal as well, but people want the right to get high when we already, as is, are overly medicated and have access to other drugs. Many people come to YouTube, not everybody, but many people only subscribe to the people telling them what they want to hear versus a simple truth or the simple truth. It's one thing to entertain, but it becomes an issue when people are being taught in the wrong direction by some jerk taking advantage of how they feel for money or attention, or both. Thanks for asking me your question. I will talk more on this later, which of course I am talking about it right now. So with that being said, just recently, last weekend, my grandmother died. She died of COVID, actually, so to speak. And then last weekend, or the weekend that just passed, I got COVID. And also, my brother got COVID. It's like the sickness is just not just COVID, but other sicknesses as well, as like flu and stuff like that, are just making its rounds at the start of the year, isn't it? And my face looks a little off because of all the. I've been inside for at least almost a week now, guys. Just camping out indoors, and even 7 days of just staying in your house without going out at all is just ugh. I swear, the sickness isn't fun enough as is. But the thing is, many people, it just seems like they don't want to overcome anything anymore. And I understand it can be difficult, it can be hard to overcome. But if you don't overcome anything, you're not going to grow as a person, you aren't going to grow up to be an adult, etc. It just seems like many people, they just don't really want to grow up, is the deal. And I understand that, people getting into drugs, sometimes people just get into them anyway, regardless. And it's because these people I've known, even personally, they just feel comfortable with doing drugs and just doing what they want. And I don't have an issue with it as long as they aren't hurting anybody in the process of it. But sometimes they might, depending on how selfish they are. And then, there's all these people, they act like, oh, we're trying to get marijuana legal because of this and that. No, you're just wanting to get marijuana legal just because you want to have the right to get high off of marijuana. That's the only reason why you want to have marijuana legal. And it's not even that big of an issue that's illegal. Although, however, of all the other shit that's on the market, it's probably even worse than marijuana. In my opinion, they might as well just make marijuana legal, and they could probably even tax marijuana to a point so that it actually helps the economy. So, with that respect, I will say you might as well just make it legal. But at the same time, we've also got alcohol. We've got, over-the-counter drugs that people, as is sometimes, I know even kids from school are getting high off of. We have chocolates, we have video games. I mean, we have all of this shit. And it's like some of these people just act like that's not enough. Like they just want more and more and more and more. I mean, it's just like, do we have enough as is? I mean, apparently not. They just want more shit. They just want more shit. I mean, they're probably gonna get it. I mean, eventually, but I mean, what I'm trying to say is just I just don't see it as a major issue. And just like lots of times, it just seems like a lot of incels I've seen, they don't want to overcome what they're acting like they need to overcome. But what really an incel or somebody like that wants is something that they don't want, or I wouldn't say don't want, but can't have, is what the real issue is. I always see these people. I even have a friend who I've talked to recently about, he asked me, how do I get laid? And then I just said, well, they have certain districts in Nevada. They have some really good horror houses. It's, they're clean, they're secure, they have security there, etc. They even check you for disease and everything. So if you really want sex that bad, you can go to these whorehouses in Nevada and have sex. And they seriously will service anybody. That, as long as they're clean, of course. And he's just like, yeah, but I want love. And it's like, okay, this is the thing about a lot of younger adults, and it's like, they just are not being prepared for reality. They are not being taught to grow. They're being taught that if you complain or bitch enough about something, that you'll get it. And maybe sometimes as they've grown up, that's how it's worked out for them with their parents. But when they go out into the real world, this, of course, doesn't tend to work. And so you have all these people that are just completely unprepared for reality and growing up, so to speak. And because of the fact that, sex is so obtainable now, to the point where sex now just isn't enough, even by itself. You see what I mean? And so now we have all these people with this issue of trying to get something that they can't have, because getting something that you can get isn't exciting, right? Now, understanding why people, even myself at times, have wanted things that I can't have. It's understandable. But when the only thing that you want is the thing that you can't get or to obtain, then that becomes a real issue, because it's just ridiculous. I mean, you've got to start somewhere. You've got to start somewhere. You can't just get something sometimes. Maybe start out with the person that you can get, for instance. I mean, Jesus. I hate to say it, but how dumb do you have to be? You have to start somewhere. If you want to eventually get to that point where you get that thing that's hard to obtain, then you have to start somewhere. You also have to grow up. You might also have to work over weekends. Just depends on what you do. You just have to do it. And when I first moved out of my parents' house, I in part did it because I felt that my parents were nuts, of course, and were people that were just the kind of people that would just tell me what I wanted with my life. I needed to move out. I wasn't worried about how much I was getting laid and all this other BS, because I had all these other issues going on with my life. I had real issues going on at the time. It was a really, really shitty situation. And so I focused on just moving out. I didn't care what career it was. I didn't care if it was enough money or not. I just needed to move the fuck out. I was focused on moving out and growing up, finding my own interest, etc. And yet, at the same time, I see all of these kids, young adults, who are just so unprepared for, growing up in reality. And it just baffles me sometimes. We're and it's also not completely their fault as well, though, because another issue is that they have been taken advantage of sometimes, or taught something wrong, etc. And all in an effort to sell them a product from some company. I mean, just think of it. How about the times I was taught when I was a kid that sex was the best thing ever, or that partying was the best thing ever, or how about this was the best thing ever, or because of that, or maybe something from a movie. Maybe somebody drank some Coca-Cola in the movie, or had some, Ray-Ban shades, like from Men in Black. All of this stuff is just in an effort to sell you something. And in an effort to sell us all of this stuff, they overhype it. And so now sex is the best thing ever because they want to sell a product. Women like a big penis because we want to sell our penis pills. And because of pornography, because we want you to watch more pornography, even though the sex and pornography isn't really realistic in almost any aspect. We're doing this because they're just doing it to sell you a product. I mean, just teaching our youth and your young adults all these fucking lies just to sell them a product. And while at the same time, these kids are being taught that they've been owed something by these companies. And so now we have all these kids that think that they're owed something. Because being owed something feels good, doesn't it? It feels very good. But the truth is, the world doesn't owe us jack shit. And we aren't just going to get everything that we want. And I wish the world was different. I wish that we just got everything that we wanted, and that we could just approach some woman in some, let's say mall somewhere, and just say something cheesy to them and just get laid, or, just something else equally as ridiculous. But again, the reality is just that's just not how it works. And maybe over a period of time, you can at least kind of get something like that working for you. But even then, life probably isn't going to be perfect. And of course, I sit here saying this because, as you can see, I'm not sitting here trying to get you guys to feel sorry for me just because my grandmother died. And, obviously that's a bad thing. And I'm going to miss my grandmother, I already do, obviously. But, I'm not going to just sit here and be like, oh, you guys should feel sorry for me and just give me all this cash because of what happened to me. I'm going to just, here's the reality of course, my situation. I'm going to have to move on, without my grandmother now that she's dead. And it's not going to be fun, but I'm just going to have to do it. That, and I'm going to have to, of course, also overcome the fact that I'm sick at the moment still. And on the upside, I'm getting better. I'm getting kind of better from being sick. So there's at least a light at the end of the tunnel. So yeah, it hasn't really been a fun week and a half, but I'll be able to live and I'll be able to move on. With that being said, I'll end this video since it's about at 15 minutes now. Of course, if you guys want to talk more about this or other things, or if there's even a video recommendation you guys want. But just so you guys know, it's been quite a month, which is why I just simply haven't been making videos lately. But anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye.